What you're seeing here is one continuous POV shot of myself racing in the inaugural Influencer Grand Prix. The Influencer Grand Prix was an invitational go-kart race for a group of handsome internet personalities such as myself, held on a portion of an Indy Car racetrack. The karts we used here are the very same ones used for practice by both young Formula 1 trainees and professional drivers looking to refine their skills. Throughout the day, I spoke to professional Indy Car racer Graham Rahal and proved myself a worthy competitor long enough to eventually come up with some of the best tips out there for aspiring race car drivers that will help dominate the competition, whether you stick to go-kart racing Grand Prix or transition to something even faster. I also want to note that I wasn't forced to drive with a wheel in front of my face the entire time. My GoPro was just mounted a little lower than I had intended, so that's going to be in your way a bit here. But if it makes you feel any better, you can just pretend you were sitting in my lap for the entire race. Here we go. First off, hit the gym, because high-octane go-kart racing in itself is a workout. You'd be surprised how much muscular endurance and raw strength is required to wrangle one of these metal monsters as it flies around a track at up to 80 miles per hour. You can sometimes see my veins bulging out of my incredibly attractive arms because of the sheer ferocity required to do this. While you don't necessarily have to be in great shape, knowing that you'll be straining yourself all day long can help you pace yourself and help win the race before it even starts. Maybe start with some light stretching, do a few warm-up exercises, drive a regular car over the speed limit when going to the track. The possibilities of how you warm yourself up are endless, but be prepared to have to warm yourself up. Tip number 2, race using your entire body. Cornering is a real game changer on go-karts, and most of the professionals know to shift their weight appropriately into turns. Being able to lean into corners and let the car's momentum take a natural racing line will put you miles ahead of the competition. Drifting may be the most fun. Drifting is definitely the most fun. I would pay money just to let me drift these cars. I wanted to slam this vehicle into every single barrier that I saw just because going sideways is the best thing you can do in a four-wheeled style of transportation. And it's especially fun because the loud tire squeal pisses off the employees. But it costs you immense amounts of speed, so don't bother. I had heard that the top racers of the day actually oiled up their pants so that they would slide easier in their seats, allowing them to take turns like no one else had ever done before. A sheer display of pure manipulation of the human body weight. Thankfully, just before the race, I had overheard this and was able to smuggle some butter off of a nearby concession stand and applied it to my seat. But the hot Florida sun had melted most of it away before race time, so I was stuck planted, full of friction, and slow as hell. Tip number 3 is to try to be a smaller person. Go-karts on average only weigh about 175 pounds, meaning for a lot of you, myself included, you're going to be weighing more than the kart itself. This will slow your kart down considerably. So my advice is that if you're over 6 foot, don't even bother expecting to win a race. It's enough of a struggle as it is to adjust the kart so that you can fit in it, unless maybe you enjoy the sensation of having your knees crammed into your chest cavity. I'm a big fan of having asthmatic symptoms because all of my legs have been jammed inside of my torso and are pushing my lungs out my eyes. But maybe you're not a big fan of that. So if you are over 6 foot, maybe you should go play some basketball like you were genetically designed to do. If you're over the 200-pound mark, consider weight loss methods to try to get better lap times. I was able to throw up a bit in the men's room before the race, made easier by the fact that I had only eaten go-kart racing seat butter beforehand. But remember, every pound counts, so do what you have to do to take the weight off. Abstaining from eating also works, and the resulting motion sickness from that will help you naturally sway into the sharper turns. Also, the eating disorder that'll come from that will help you fit into cuter racing outfits. I highly recommend you do this. This is a new tip that's for people who don't understand how racing works. Brake. Brake hard. Brake often. Brake violently. You need to brake so that you don't slam into walls, and so you can stay on the course. Tons of failures of physics out there will get the idea into their brains that braking makes you slower, therefore don't braking. Fuck you. You brake so you can go faster overall, you fucking dumbass. Where's your college degree? Yeah, I thought so. Brake! Brake like crazy. Brake more than you accelerate. Your speed overall should be a net loss because you're wearing out your brake pedal. Brake. Break your fucking neck because you broke so hard. Your whiplash will eventually feel better. Your bones can be set back into place. Most courses like this have a dedicated medical staff. If you are sacrificing any of your ability to win because you're afraid of getting hurt or having others get hurt, you are doubting the ingenuity of the American healthcare system. Instead, you need to realize that you can't accelerate so hard that you go back in time and win the race that you lost because you weren't braking hard enough. Brake, or I will fucking break you. And this is a legitimate spoken threat. Another great tip. A great way to clean your microwave is by mixing vinegar and water into a microwave-safe container. Then turning the microwave on for about 5 to 10 minutes. This will coat the inside of the microwave and helps to remove the built-up gunk. All you have to do then is grab a cloth and wipe it out. You'll now be able to be a more efficient go-kart racer because you'll know that you'll have a clean microwave waiting for you at home. And finally, probably the most important tip on this list is one that you have to keep in mind at all times during the race. Don't lose. Some of you watching this video may notice that I completed a spectacular 10 laps by the end of it. Unfortunately, it was a 13-lap race, and I came in dead last. More astute viewers may also notice that I actually get lapped several times, and I spin out like crazy. I was actually given the nickname 180 by the crew because of how often my car lost its shit. And some of you are probably giggling thinking that's a joke. It's sadly not. But that was only because I lost. If I had won the race, none of those things would have happened. That wouldn't make any sense. Have you ever seen a race of any kind where the winner did donuts and barely maintained any speed? No. So the next time I compete, which will be very soon, because based on my initial inaugural performance, I think I have the potential to be the fastest man alive. Because instead of driving a go-kart, I'm gonna hop out and run all the way home so that no one will see my embarrassing failure. But I do know that if I do the exact opposite of what you see on this video, I'll win. So take this video not as the ultimate guides on how to race go-karts, but in fact the ultimate guide to convince yourself of what not to do when racing go-karts, and therefore turning this into the ultimate guide of how to actually race go-karts if you're smart enough to decipher subtext. I know the internet and social media isn't the best place to hide things within the lines, but you're all smart people. And this should solve all of your issues. I hope these tips were helpful. Maybe even consider throwing all of them out except that last one. Or just throw out the idea of going go-karting out the window anyway. You don't have to do it. I'm not fucking forcing you. You're the one who wanted tips, not me, Jesus.